Hello guys, this is JMJ Recaps. I'll be narrating The Green Mile, an American fantasy drama film written and directed by Frank Darabont and based on Stephen King's 1996 novel of the same name. The movie is about a story of a death row prison guard named Paul Edgecombe during the Great Depression who witnesses supernatural events following the arrival of an enigmatic convict named John Coffey, a massive man convicted of brutally killing a pair of young sisters. Coffey had the size and strength to kill anyone. At a Louisiana assisted living home in 1999, retiree Paul Edgecombe becomes emotional while viewing the film Top Hat. His companion Elaine becomes concerned, and Paul explains to her that the film reminded him of events that he witnessed when he was an officer at Cold Mountain Penitentiary's death row, nicknamed the Green Mile. In 1935, Paul supervised corrections officers Brutus "Brutal" Howell, Dean Stanton, Harry Terwilliger, and Percy Wetmore, reporting to Warden Hal Morse. Percy, the nephew of the state governor's wife, demonstrates a sadistic streak but flaunts his family connections to avoid being held accountable. He is particularly abusive towards prisoner Edouard Delacroix, killing his pet mouse, Mr. Jingles. Paul is introduced to John Coffey, a physically imposing but mild-mannered African-American man sentenced to death after being convicted of raping and murdering two young white girls. He joins two other condemned convicts on the block, Dell and Arlen Bitterbuck, the latter of whom is the first to be executed. The officers are forced to deal with psychotic new inmate William Wild Bill Wharton, who frequently causes trouble by assaulting the officers and racially abusing John, forcing them to restrain him in the block's padded cell on more than one occasion. After John heals Paul's severe bladder infection by touching him, and later resurrects Mr. Jingles, Paul gradually realizes that John possesses a supernatural ability to heal others. Paul doubts whether someone with the power to perform divine miracles is truly guilty of the crime. In exchange for resigning from the penitentiary and accepting a job at an insane asylum, Percy is allowed to oversee Dell's execution. At the execution, Percy deliberately avoids soaking the sponge used to conduct electricity to Dell's head, leading to Dell suffering a gruesome and agonizing death, with John forced to feel Dell's pain as well. Paul and the other officers punish Percy by forcing him to spend a night in the padded cell. While Percy is locked away, they secretly smuggle John out of the prison so that he can use his powers to heal Warden Moore's wife Melinda of a brain tumor, saving her life. After Percy is released from the padded room, the others threaten to report him for his various acts of misconduct if his behavior continues. John uses his powers to release Melinda's affliction into Percy's brain, causing Percy to shoot Wild Bill to death. Soon after, John reveals in a vision to Paul that Wild Bill was the true culprit of the crimes for which he was wrongfully condemned, releasing his supernatural energy into Paul in the process. Having suffered a mental breakdown, Percy is committed to the same insane asylum where he had planned to work after resigning from the prison. After realizing that John is innocent, Paul is distraught at the thought of executing him and offers to let him go free. John tells Paul that the execution would be an act of mercy, as he views the world as a cruel place and is in constant pain from the suffering that people inflict upon each other. Mentioning that he has never seen a movie before, John watches Top Hat with the other officers as his last request. When he is taken to be executed, he asks not to have a hood placed over his head as he is afraid of the dark. The officers watch in sadness, visibly holding back tears as Coffey is executed. Back in the present, Paul tells Elaine that John's execution was the last that he and Brutal witnessed, as they both subsequently resigned from the prison and took jobs in the juvenile system. Paul reveals to Elaine that Mr. Jingles is still alive, having been blessed with a supernaturally long life thanks to John's healing touch. He also reveals that he is now 108 years old. While Elaine sees Paul's long life as another of John's miracles, Paul speculates that he may have been condemned to linger on Earth and outlive all of his loved ones as a divine punishment for executing John. Paul is later shown attending Elaine's funeral and muses on how much longer he has left to live. The message in this movie is: being a moral person comes down to the choices being made. Whether they will create benefits or adversity for others around, they should satisfy the one making the decisions. Paul and John reveal throughout the film that everyone can have different views, as they both have various outlooks of the moral ideal. The concept of morality within the film develops through the complex decisions that the characters have to make. These decisions can lead to hardships for many others in the future, but the choices made throughout. The end. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.